Prior to Jeff's accident, we had a great group of friends and we were very active, and life was very different. He was a triathlete, he was an avid cyclist, mountaineer. He was a star. Jeff was on a training ride and he was coming down Novelty Hill Road and he hit a monument cover. He struck it about 40 miles an hour and he sustained a severe diffused axonal brain injury. It was a closed head injury. That kind of tragedy completely changes you on so many different levels, and you can't really relate to people sometimes. And I felt that when I found the Brain Injury Association, that I finally found people that could understand me, and I could sit in a room with people and know that there were other brain injury families in that room. And for the first time in a long time, I felt supported.
People often say, well, who did you used to be? Tell us about your career pre-brain injury. That person is no longer. I am a TBI survivor.
Summer had just turned 16 years old and was about to start her junior year in high school. She was on the varsity volleyball team. She played softball. Good grades, school was easy for her. She was very involved in the community, the school. Summer had a car accident in the afternoon of September 5th, 2006. The hardest part at that time was completely not knowing. I do remember getting on the internet in there and trying to search for something good, and all I could find was bad.
It is not easy. Recovery takes a really long time. You have to push, but in the end, it's worth it, obviously.
Bill and I met at a software company in Seattle that we both worked at, and he was my trainer, my teacher. He just had a great job and was valued at WRQ. He was very funny, and he still is very funny, and I think that's one of the main things that, helps us get by or get through it.
The day of my accident was October 2nd, 2002. I was bicycling home from work. The unsuspecting driver saw a parking space and went for it. My bicycle hit his car with my front wheel. So what do? Okay, you just suddenly lost your ability to generate an income, and your spouse doesn't have the ability either because you're trying to raise a child together that was just born. There's something about a brain injury when you don't look like you have a brain injury that puts you in a slightly different class, if you will, of brain injuries. People don't think you have one, so you shouldn't be acting a certain way. Their expectations are different.
Larry was a sophomore at Wichita University. He wanted to be an attorney. That's what he was going to do when he got out of college. He was in a car accident in 1965. He was hospitalized for 18 months. They said he was brain dead. Finally, 18 months after the accident, with a spelling board, he was able to spell his name as we pointed down through the alphabet, and he raised his head. And then we said, Larry, what have you been wanting to say? And he spelled, when am I going home? Larry was seen at San Antonio, where they just opened a unit. Through that, Larry gained speech, he gained mobility, gradually.
Hi, my name is Larry Hudson, and I was in a car accident in 1965. There were 3 killed in the car I was in, and I was severely injured.
He was placed in a nursing home where they were treating him like he was mentally deficient. They put him in diapers and they were dressing him, and they would not allow him to go outside the nursing home itself, so he had no social, he had no therapy. It was really criminal.
What's really difficult for people to understand is that our relationship had to completely change. At some point, I had to stop being Jeff's wife because that role didn't work anymore. And what he needed was a mother. And so somehow we made that transition from being, husband and wife to kind of being mother and son.
She had a very good professional photography career going when I got hurt. Now, her career, her job is not as a photographer, it is as my case manager, as the facility who we're at, as the manager of it. And her job is to be my support, my motivator, my stern, stay on point, helper, reminder. Her job is to be there for me.
I think we're doing a lot in Washington, and I'm really, really pleased about what the Brain Injury Association is doing for public awareness. It's been difficult to balance my time, and I've had to give up a lot of my community interests. Larry's so worth it. He is so gracious. Everything I do for him. Long term, it frightens me if I can't help him, and I'm 68 and Larry's 65. What is there for him then?
One of the hardest things is the reversal of roles, where before the accident, we both worked before I was pregnant and before the accident, and Bill made a lot more money than I did.
And I no longer bring in an income. I can't take care of Isabel as a husband should. Mary doesn't get the break like she should or would like to. And that's extremely difficult.
It was hard on the family. George, my husband, picked up the work here completely. After about a year, I was realizing it was getting really hard on our marriage because Summer was my only focus.
My mom was phenomenal. She stayed with me 24/7 in the hospital, and we became one. And then when we decided we had to kind of grow apart, that's when we fought the hardest.
What would have helped me most then was to have a TBI-specific case manager, somebody that understood exactly what Jeff needed for the long haul. And so they could help me script out all of his care, start to finish. I needed somebody that understood traumatic brain injury and what a long process rehab is for somebody with a severe brain injury. It's different for every person. I would like to see the Brain Injury Association have more outings for TBI families, picnics or social events, because isolation is really huge in TBI. It would be so nice to just be able to sit with other family members of TBI survivors and talk to them about the challenges we face and how emotionally draining it is, but at the same time how oddly beautiful life is now.